Okay, in this video we are going to work 3 different work rate word problems. Now the general form of the equation that can be used to solve work rate problems looks like this. We have 1 over the time for person or thing A plus or minus 1 over the time for person or thing B multiplied by the time that it takes when they work together equals 1 job. So let's apply this equation to this problem here. So it says it takes John 4 hours to mow his neighbor's field and it takes you 3 hours to mow it. How long would it take if you both work together? All right, well, using this formula then, it takes one of us 4 hours and the other one 3 hours. So one time is 4 and one time is 3. We're adding because we're working together at the same time. We multiply by t, that's the time it takes us working together, and that's what we don't know, and it equals 1 job. Well, when I multiply through by t, then I get t over 4 plus t over 3 equals 1, and whenever we have denominators in an equation, we always like to get rid of those, so we're going to multiply by the least common denominator, which is 12, to get rid of those. So t over 4 times 12, the 4 cancels with the 12 and gives me 3t. When I do t over 3 times 12, the 3 cancels with the 12 and gives me 4t. And then when I multiply 12 times 1, don't forget to do that, I just get 12. So I've got 7t equals 12, and t equals 12 over 7. Now this is a real life problem, so we probably wouldn't leave our answer as a mixed number, as an improper fraction. We would write it as a mixed number and put our units on it. So the time it takes us together is 1 hour and 5/7 of an hour. All right, well, now let's look at another version of this problem right here. It says on a separate occasion, you and a different friend mow the neighbor's field, and it takes the 2 of you 1 hour and a half. How long would it take the friend if he worked by himself? So this time, you know your time, we'll say TA is your time, and from the problem above, we know that takes you 3 hours. But we don't know his time. We just know the time it takes the 2 of you together, and that's 1 hour and a half. So that's going to be 3/2 of an hour. Now this is hours and this is hours, so I'm going to leave those without the units, but they're the same, and you have to make sure that the units are the same. So when I put these in my formula, then I've got 1 over 3 plus 1 over t times t, or TB. We don't know what that person's time is, times the time it takes together, 3/2 equals 1 job. Well, when I multiply 3/2 times 1 over 3, the 3's cancel and I get 1/2. So I've got 1/2 plus, and then I multiply 3/2 times 1 over TB, and I get 3 over 2 TB, and then that equals 1. Well, now I'm going to multiply to get rid of my denominators, so I multiply the entire equation by 2 TB. Well, when I multiply this first term times 2 TB, the 2's cancel, and I just get TB. When I multiply the second equation times 2 TB, I get plus 3, because all of that cancels, and then 1 times 2 TB is 2 TB. Well, now when I subtract TB from both sides, I get that 3 is equal to TB. So the friend's time, working by himself, would be 3 hours as well. And that makes sense. It takes us both the same amount of time, and so we cut our time in half when we work together. All right, well, let's erase these so that we can do this last problem, which is yet another take on work rate problems. So if you look at this last one, we're filling a bucket. You can fill a 5-gallon bucket in 5 minutes. One bucket has a hole in the bottom, and it takes 30 minutes to drain a full 5-gallon bucket through this hole. So you've got this bucket, and it's 5 gallons. How long will it take to fill this bucket if you don't plug the hole? All right, so one of our times to fill the bucket is 5 minutes. But the bucket drains, a full bucket will drain in 30 minutes through that hole. So if I don't plug the hole, then both of these things are operating at the same time, and I'm trying to fill the bucket. So my equation this time would look like 1 over 5 minus 1 over 30, because that hole is working against what I'm trying to do, times the time that it takes me when I don't plug the hole, equals 1 full bucket. It doesn't matter that the bucket is 5 gallons. As long as I'm talking about the same bucket throughout, then I don't have to put that 5 gallons in here. So when I multiply through by t, I have t over 5 minus t over 30 equals 1, and my least common denominator is 30, so I'll multiply the entire equation by 30. So I have 30 times t over 5. The 5 cancels with the 30 and gives me 6. So I have 6t. And then when I multiply 30 times t over 30, the 30's cancel, and I just have t. So 6t minus t equals, and then when 30 multiplies by 1, I get 30. So I've got 5t equals 30, and t this time is going to equal 6 minutes. So it takes me 5 minutes if I don't have the hole, or if I plug the hole. But if I don't plug the hole, then it takes me 6 minutes to fill that 5-gallon bucket.